I suspect you've come across plenty of salespeople in engineering and manufacturing, good, bad, and ugly. Have you got any strong opinions about what makes a good one, especially in the world of engineering?
Two ears, one mouth. Yeah, that's the first thing I got told, and it subsequently it becomes apparent that's the difference between not even a good and bad one, just a decent person and a shitty salesperson. Yeah, I've been in calls where, like, so I started my career as an apps engineer, so I wasn't always sales, but I was pre-sales. So I'd go and support a sales guy, talk to a customer about. I started in drive, so I would talk about the drive technically with the customer, and the sales guy would like try and sell something. But I've been in them calls where you're just like, just shut up. And you're just thinking, like, just let the customer speak. Like, we don't even know what he wants yet. Just relax. Like, everyone's in a rush. Not everyone. The bad people, they're in a rush. Like, they need the sale. And it's also culture of the business of like, maybe their boss is going to hit them over the head with a stick if their sales force doesn't look better within a week's time. Like, that's the reality of a lot of corporates. Um, but I think the best salespeople were the people, not necessarily like me, but in my team, the people I was learning from, like the pre-sales people were brilliant because they didn't care if they sold anything. They just
Yeah.
cared if the customer got the right solution, or else they've wasted their time being there. That's how like we all thought. Like I would go with my box of tricks and I'd be like, so what's the problem? Like, do you need help commissioning or and I'd go through how to set up the product, or actually, it's not, mate, you've got the wrong one. Really sorry, like sold you a dud. But this is the right product for your application. I think they're the best ones. I learned from a guy called Adam Hudson, and he was like class clown. Uh, wouldn't take anything seriously, but he knew drives like the back of his hand. He's retired actually, started this year. Um, but he would just sit and have a laugh with the customer and just build an actual genuine rapport. And the customer would buy into everything he said, even if he just made stupid fucking noises, which he did a lot of the time. Like we used to laugh. Our favorite character on TV back then was Brian Badonde. Do you remember him on was it Fonejacker? And Adam would answer the phone making stupid noises like that to me and to customers. But everyone loved him because he was just a normal person that happened to know shitloads about this product range, and the customers would eat out of his hand because of that. And I'm sure if you asked those salespeople back then what made the difference at the big accounts, it was having a pre-sales person there. Whether their ego would let them admit that or not, but it would definitely be not having the pressure of having to sell something.
The great paradox, eh?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it is.
any specific mistakes that you think salespeople tend to make?
Mistakes, other than not listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's bits actually we talk about on my podcast that I have with Automate, and James, my co-host, is really like focused on this at the minute. But like going to a customer and showing them case studies that have absolute zero relevance to anything they do or ever done in the past. Which leads back into what would make a good salesperson actually is the research of what that company does. And I'm not just talking about like cold call, like do a quick Google search, like do they make or sell this, but like actually understand the industry that they're in, the process that they have, the machines that they make, like what are the intricacies of that, and be like that. It's a bit wanky, but like consultative sell, like truly understand a niche. I think if you've got the time to develop yourself in a niche, you've got a much stronger pathway as a salesperson. I think one of the big mistakes is, and again, it goes back to culture, and we need to sell more, we need to sell tomorrow. But one of the big mistakes is like we're just rushed. and it's, I need to get into this account tomorrow because they need to buy 100 of these widgets. And I don't care if the machine doesn't fit these widgets, but I need to sell 100 of them. So I just need to get into this account like that. And we're all extremely guilty of that. And that's a KPI driven thing. But you asked me what mistakes people make, and I think that's one of them.
Yeah, it's a strange form of desperation. They've not done enough prospecting, so they need something now because they got nothing in the pipeline. Then the pressure piles on. Is there anything you think people in manufacturing, engineering, especially salespeople in those kind of industries, perhaps should know about technology, about business, about sales itself? Any things you think they should know that perhaps generally they don't?
This is what salespeople should know.
Yeah.
Say. I think whether they should know or not, they should probably have some sort of empathy towards running a business. They should understand that that person is probably really busy and really stressed, and they probably do not have time for you. And if they've given you the time, then you're extremely lucky and you're one of few that has been given the time, because there are hundreds of your competitors that are cold calling that same person or messaging on LinkedIn or emailing them. I think don't be that naive salesperson that thinks you deserve the call or the meeting. I think that empathy of, it's really fucking hard to run a business, and especially these days, like there's a lot of manufacturers right now that are desperately just trying to keep the lights on. So it goes back to do your research, make sure it's the right fit, don't waste anyone's time, don't waste your own time. I think that would be my answer.
And have you seen any good examples of great salesmanship?
Yeah, it goes back to my answer number one, not trying to sell anything. The best advice I got actually was in COVID, and it wasn't from a salesperson. It was from our service manager. I was working for a big robot company, but I looked after Drives and Motion, the UK. And we had supply chain issues like a lot of people did. And I was getting really stressed. Customers were on to me. We were losing accounts because, people needed to still build machines. We just didn't have the components for them. And this guy, Steve Cook, his name was, or is, he's not dead. He said to me, how did he word it? He said, if you've got a box of shit and that shit is covered in sprinkles, it's still a box of shit. So just tell the customer it's a box of shit, which sounds like, without the context, sounds awful thing to say, but it was the exact thing I needed to hear, because like I'd spent months of like desperately trying to grasp all these customers that were like pissed off or leaving, or I was having dates pushed out on me by supply chain of like, I'd promise a customer, then all of a sudden the factory would be like, oh no, that's not coming for another 3 months. Well, my customer was already screaming last month. And the advice that he gave me was actually just tell the customer the truth. Like, don't sugarcoat anything. Like, the reality is the reality. And it's quite easy for you to bury your head in the sand. And I was very guilty of it as well. Like, it's the easiest thing to do is to just look the other way and just be like, yeah, it's coming tomorrow, or it's coming next week. But I think that is something that we could all learn from, is like, be authentic, tell the truth. The customer, although they might be upset at the time, will appreciate the honesty. And even worst case, they leave, go to someone else, they will always remember that you were the honest one. And I think that comes full circle eventually. Now, whether you're still in a job to see that full circle, I don't know, because you might not have sold enough. But I think there's something in that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Final question then. What do you sell?
Anything for the right price. What do we sell? So I'm a co-founder of Engineers Insight. And Engineers Insight has changed quite a lot actually in the couple of years that we've been going. So it started out as a free mobile app for engineers, built out of frustration. You know, I work for these brands. I started as an engineer. Accessing resources painful, and then trying to get product to market is painful and expensive. So a free mobile app, engineers could find latest product releases from big brands, but then the resources are there. So the manuals and the CAD files and the data sheets and document declaration conformity. They can access tech support. They can send pricing inquiries. They can build a bookmark of manuals that are used from different vendors in one place. They can apply for jobs. Like, it's a central resource in your phone. But where it's changed is that we set out to be this disruptor in marketing, but actually we're involved in so many things. So now we talk about one of our projects that I'm most proud of is called Through the Factory. So how do you change the perceptions of manufacturing for the next generation? So Through the Factory is like a modern revamp of like how it's made, the old TV program. But we spend time with leaders, asking them about what they look for in young people. We spend time with the apprentices about why they wanted to be an engineer, what's great about their job. We do some cool drone stuff, and we present in front of machines and talk about processes. But that will be distributed through Design and Technology in the UK. So 40-ish thousand D&T teachers will use it to hopefully inspire kids to want to become an engineer, which then means that Engineers Insight, we can talk about, we can inspire a primary, secondary school child to come into industry. And then they go to college to learn engineering, and Engineers Insight, the app, is starting to be embedded into engineering curriculum, which is also quite cool. But that means they're training on it in the classroom, and the products that they have in their college will live in the app as well. And the lecturer will say to them, don't run back to us when you've got a problem, you've got Engineers Insight, which is another extremely proud moment seeing that happen. But then they can apply for their apprenticeship, they can apply for a graduate scheme, they can apply for their first job through the app. Then they come into industry and they use it to find resource that they need to do their job. And then our next big one will be training. So a central platform for all of the vendors' courses, that an engineer can enroll on a KUKA robot course with a Siemens PLC course and a Tom Mallon sales course, and only have to raise one purchase order. They only get invoiced once. We handle all of that data. And then they could track their CPD through that same platform. And then, of course, we have all this education, entertainment content that we produce for manufacturers and for ourselves that they would then consume as they go through their career. So we've gone from this little touch point of a scrollable newsfeed to inspire a child at 10 to a resource that you use until retirement. And there's multiple things in there that we sell, hopefully.
Nice. I like it. Tom, thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Appreciate your time.